Who is the best UFC 4 player? This is a question that a lot of people have asked me, and it's not an easy one to answer. There are so many factors, so many different things that could influence what you think, and obviously, bias. Today, I'm going to try to make an unbiased list, sourcing as many high-level players' opinions as possible, and using the most objective criteria available. Please keep a note that this is my opinion. Don't hate me if you're not on this list, if a player you like is not on this list, or if they are lower than you think they should be. If you do end up enjoying this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know. That being said, let's get into the video. The first thing that we need to look at is criteria. What are the key factors in determining who the best UFC 4 player is? First, we're going to eliminate all players who do not play in competition. This is because they have not tested themselves against the vast majority of the player base, and so we cannot determine how good they truly are. They will get honorable mentions near the end of the video. Secondly, we're going to remove all players who are known for exploiting and do not have a base to fall behind. I do not believe that these players are skilled, and thus they do not deserve to be in the competition. I won't get into exactly what these exploits are, as that's a topic for another video entirely. So, that leaves us with our players who actively compete in leagues such as ESFL, or tournaments such as the constant invitationals going on, who are viewed by most if not all of the community to be legitimately skilled. So where do we start? By talking to various members of the community, I've set out a baseline of criteria to determine who the best UFC 4 players are. This goes as follows. Number 1 is your level of competition in competitive play. This makes everything else look better, as being able to beat other top players in competitive play shows that you are a highly skilled player and gives perspective versus all other players. Criteria number 2 is overall gameplay skill. If you are one of the best in one area but can be consistently overwhelmed, say if you are a pure striker but are constantly out-grappled by good wrestlers, that puts an asterisk on your overall skill. Criteria number 3 is your achievements. This includes tournament wins, league belts, and things such as that. Having accolades makes it clear that you are consistent and able to perform at a high level. Number 4 is your ability to adjust to your opponent mid-game. Often, players come into a fight with the wrong game plan, and can quickly fall if they don't make adjustments on the fly. However, the best players are able to adjust their game quickly and come out on top. Now that we have our criteria, we need to look at various players within the community to determine a list of the elite. Once we have that, we can go through all of their UFC 4 competitive fights to determine exactly where to place them on our list. After going through a lot of video and outsourcing opinions from other community members, here's the list I have. Let's start breaking down this list and seeing where I believe that people go. Everything listed here will be based on competition fights only, as quick fights are not quantifiable. The first player that we're going to look at is GOAT1099, a seasoned veteran who has really put his name out there in UFC 4. His top wins will be listed on screen, as well as some good wins that he has had. GOAT also has a few accolades: CFGP tournament winner, Yuri Thunderdome Invitational winner, and he was the former ESFL PS4 champion, only losing his belt at ESFL 100. This is a very solid list of competition for GOAT and puts him in a very good position to do well in these rankings. Let's take a look at the next player on our list, Romero XVII, widely regarded by many as the best player on PS4, although some may dispute this. His top wins are listed on the screen, as well as some good wins that he has had. Romero XVII is also a decorated player. He retired with the ESFL PS4 belt, being undefeated, and took the PS4 esports belt from a Bathing Ash as well. He has a variety of solid wins under his belt and very few competitive losses, putting him in a good spot to do well on this list. The next player on our list is Ed Parker02, a player very well known for his beautiful striking style and anti-grappling work. Let's take a look at his various achievements. Ed Parker's achievements are purely tournament-based, having won the Heem the Dream Invitational and most recently the Suave Jamie Invitational. However, he has gone through an absolute murderer's row to get there, as you can see from the list of competition on screen, and deserves to be on this list. Our next player is Suave Jamie, also known as Triple C, with a huge amount of accolades under his name. Having competed on Xbox for most of the game's lifespan, his wins may differ slightly from the others. Suave Jamie is very decorated, having won the ESFL Xbox Championship, the ESFL PS4 Championship, and the Esports League Xbox Championship. He was also one fight away from an Esports League title shot on the PS4 side. The next player on our list is Swiss Labax, a player renowned for his pressure boxing style. Let's take a look at his high-level wins. Despite not having quite as much high-level competition as the other players, Swiss Labax has consistently been a top player throughout tournaments and competitive fights in the UFC 4 scene. The next player on the list is Adveda_X, the boogeyman of UFC 3 and now one of the best fighters on UFC 4. Let's look at his achievements. Adveda X was the runner-up in the Heme Invitational, as well as beating Ed Parker, a top-ranked fighter at ESFL 100. Although his resume doesn't look the best, he is on here as one of the most skilled and complete fighters in the game. A Bathing Ash is the next player on the list, being a very highly esteemed and accomplished player. Let's take a look at what he's done. A Bathing Ash held the esports PS4 belt after losing it to Papadoc 60 and coming back to defeat him. He also holds wins over several good players and has been a consistent top force within the game, despite a few lackluster performances in ESFL. The final player on our top players list is Papadoc 60, a man with a heavy wrestling style and a very solid all-around game. Let's take a look at his achievements. The former PS4 esports champion and a very solid contender with some clean wins, Papadoc 60 absolutely deserves a place on this list as one of the best players in the world. With the competition and achievements being set out of the way and outlined, we're now going to figure out how we determine a winner. With each criteria listed previously, players will be given points. Criteria number 1 will be worth 10 points, number 2 8 points, number 3 7 points, and number 4 5 points. So here we go. With criteria number 1, competition, the scores are as follows. GOAT comes in with incredibly strong competition, with a very good list of names. Romero XVII comes in very strong as well, having beaten GOAT twice and some of the other best players in the world. Ed, Jamie, and Doc have some very convincing cases as well, and Swisslabax, A Bathing Ash, and Adveda X have some good competition, but it's not quite as strong as the other players. Moving on to criteria number 2, overall gameplay skill, perhaps the most subjective of these criteria, the scores are as follows. This category is worth 8 points. Romero 17 and Suave Jamie, known perhaps as the two GOATs of their consoles, come in tied at this criteria. GOAT 1099 and Adveda X come in right behind with strong striking and grappling games, with the rest just a bit behind at 6 apiece due to a weakness in a specific area. Criteria number 3 is achievements, belts, tournament wins, so on and so forth. This category is worth a maximum of 7 points. Suave Jamie comes in first here, having 2 ESFL belts and an esports belt. GOAT and Romero come in right behind them, with Romero having 1 ESFL belt and 1 esports belt, and GOAT having 1 ESFL belt and 2 tournament wins. Papadoc and A Bathing Ash come in behind at 1 belt apiece, and the rest come in at 4 points with no belts. The final criteria is the ability to adjust to your opponent mid-game, this category being worth 5 points. Romero 17 and Suave Jamie once again appear at the top of the list, being able to flip the script on their opponent in an instant and come out with a completely different game plan, whether it's wrestling, technical striking, or brawling. GOAT 1099 and Adveda X come out right behind them with good mind games and adjustments, Ed Parker 02 and Swisslabax below them at 3 points, and A Bathing Ash and Papadoc 60 trailing in the final category with 2. With all of this information and all the points tallied, here are the final scores. Coming in at a tie for number 6 are Swisslabax and A Bathing Ash with 19 points each. They both were placed low in a few categories, not being able to make up the points due to a lack of accolades and competition. Coming in at number 5 is Adveda X with 20 points. He had good standings in the skill-based and adjustment-based criteria, but fell down in the other two, putting him at number 6 in the rankings. Coming in at a tie again for number 4 is Ed Parker 02 and Papadoc 60 with 22 points each. Ed fell down in the overall skill and adjustment sections due to not being an offensive grappler at all, though he placed very highly otherwise. Papadoc had a bad down during the adjustment section and placed well otherwise. Coming in at number 3 is GOAT 1099 at 26 points, an absolutely phenomenal player all around and extremely skilled. GOAT placed very well in every category and just barely fell short of the top 2. Coming in at number 2 is Suave Jamie at 27 points. The triple champion with some absolutely incredible competition and an all-around game, Jamie placed near the top in almost every category. Unfortunately, the one thing that dragged him down was not competing on PS4 for most of his career, meaning that his competition points were just a little lower and he was unable to get the points he needed. Which means that coming in at number 1 is Romero 17 with 28 points. He did well in every category, almost falling during the achievements due to not competing in many tournaments, but still is an absolute beast in every way and did well everywhere. So, there you have it. An incredible list of players, and before I end this video off, I want to give a few honorable mentions to players who easily could have been on this list, but didn't make it due to not competing or being just a bit below the elite. Prime Boxer, Unibot, Bartholomew, Pre-United, Dabakin, Peyton, 40 Monty, Bulldog, and Kinetic NRG, and finally, myself. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It took a ton of work to do. I appreciate every single one of you so much. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you guys next time.